All right, guys, hi, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a very special video. This is kind of in something in the making, so it's gonna be all about CBD. So I wanted to do everything in one place, and also I asked some frequently asked questions on Instagram, and so I wanna run through those and give you my experience. I started taking CBD in October of 2019. So what intrigued me to try this in the very beginning was because I was having problems sleeping. So it wasn't always, well, sometimes it was falling asleep in general, but sometimes it was also me not being able to stay asleep during the night. Like I would wake up in the middle of the night and then I would start thinking about things. And sometimes, and more than just sometimes, it was quite often, I would lay in the bed at night and I would just think and worry, and things would just run through my head. Lists of things I needed to do, things that I hadn't gotten accomplished in the day, things that I had procrastinated, and sometimes just not being able to literally shut my brain off so I could relax and in order to go to sleep. I also, around the same time, I found out that I was clenching my jaw at night and I had this muscle that was popping out of my face. So I still am dealing with a muscle that is popping out of my face and I'm getting that addressed, but the clenching at night, I found out from my chiropractor too, was related to stress. So I had already identified stress was keeping me from getting a good night's sleep. Stress and anxiety was waking me up at night. It was preventing me from falling asleep, and also with this jaw clenching at night and during the day. So I started going to the chiropractor, getting regular adjustments for these specific things going on. And also I decided, hey, I'm gonna try this natural approach. So I found out from my girlfriend who was in the sorority with me that she became affiliated with this company. So I started looking at this company because all CBD is not created equal, and that was something really important that I did learn because I've seen CBD all over the place. I've seen it in gas stations, I've seen it in random shops on the side of the road. I've seen it in gummies, oils, creams, makeup. It's in all kinds of stuff, so I needed a little bit of explanation and I needed to do my own research. So I start looking into this company, and I come to find out that I have a connection with the founders of the company. So the founders of the company are a husband and wife who paired together with a local farmer, two farmers actually, in Wilmington, North Carolina. And I know another one of the sorority sisters that actually happens to be the founder's sister. So I was like, okay, there's a familiar connection here. So that immediately made me feel more safe about trying something. And then I started to find out how other countries use hemp. So that brings me to hemp versus marijuana. So hemp and marijuana are two different plants. Hemp is what CBD comes from. THC comes from marijuana. Hemp. In other countries, specifically places like China, hemp is the plant that is used to clean the air. 80% of the hemp that is sold in the United States as CBD comes from China. They use it to filter the air. That is a huge problem. So you not only do you have no idea what you're consuming, it's also unregulated in the United States at this point by the FDA. They don't even touch it. It's not there yet. And so these companies can honestly tell you it's pure and then it doesn't necessarily have to be. So that's why I got affiliated with GreenCompass too, because I trust their source. They're sourced in North Carolina, in Wilmington, North Carolina, where they're growing their own crops. Everything is done in North Carolina. So for me, that just eased any sort of weirdness I felt about the quality of the product. It's also USD organic, which is something that's very important to me too. That means it's not full of pesticides and GMOs and all this other garbage that we're fed on a regular basis and toxins. Back to my journey. So what I decided to do was I bought one bottle, and it was the 500 milligram mint full spectrum. So that's another question that a lot of people want to know. Is there THC in this? Do you get high? So there's two different kinds. There's the isolate, and then there's the full spectrum. CBD isolate means that there is zero trace of THC in there, absolutely nothing. It also has one cannabinoid versus full spectrum having 80 cannabinoids. So with the full spectrum, there is 0.3% trace THC that is in the entire bottle. The bottle is this big. So it's 1 fluid ounce, and this usually lasts me about 60 days because I only take a half of a dropper at night, and that's just what works for me in my routine. And now they've actually come out with one that's a full spectrum with 0 THC, the isolate. You're still getting the same benefits. So that brings me to my next question of why do I use it? So I do use it for sleep, I do use it for anxiety, and I've never been on an anxiety medicine at all. I was diagnosed with adult ADHD when I was 20 years old, and I was on stimulant medication for a very long time. So I took Adderall, I tried Concerta, I tried Vyvanse, I tried a lot of different stimulant medications, and for me, the side effects outweighed the benefits. But it's been 3 years since I've had any sort of ADHD medicine, and what I do now is I focus on my diet, I focus on my exercise, and those two huge things make a big difference. I have also found that CBD being in my body consistently has helped me with other ADHD symptoms. When I experience anxiety, sometimes it's hard for me to get a deep breath. Sometimes I feel like someone's like squeezing my stomach, and I also get very irrationally upset. I snap at people that are physically close to me and also like emotionally close to me. I sometimes just get very angry because I don't know how to get that extra energy out of my body. Sometimes a workout will fix it, sometimes it won't. Sometimes I need to lay down, but I have found incorporating the oil in my daily life has helped me. So what I do is I take this one time a day. I take a half a dropper at night, and the highest that I've ever gone is the 750, and I only bust this one out when it is around my cycle, or I'm having PMS, or I'm having like something traumatic that is anxiety inducing going on in my personal life. So I mean, and that's not all the time, so I kind of reserve this one. But that is why I do have another one too, and this is the 500 milligram natural flavored isolate THC free. So, but the same thing, half a dropper at night. And what you do, I'm gonna take some now because I didn't take it before today, and I guess I could. So you put half a dropper in here, put it in your mouth, underneath your tongue, and you leave it there for 30 seconds before you swallow it. I haven't swallowed yet. That wasn't 30 seconds, but so you leave it there, and I like the taste of the natural. But you leave it there because you have all of these veins that are underneath your tongue, so it's going to get into your bloodstream faster that way, and it's also not going to be broken down completely by your stomach acids, so that's just the best way to get it into your body. Now there are other CBD products out there, like I mentioned. I'm starting to see a really huge trend in skincare and makeup products that have CBD oil in it. For example, if you've ever heard of the Milk Makeup, something that I love, I'm obsessed with their mascara. I've been using it for almost 2 years now. They have a lot of things that have cannabis oil in them, and they call it the Kush line. Well, it's very hydrating. So there are these incredible skin properties and hydrating properties that are associated with CBD oil when you use it topically as well. And then also for pain management. I think pain management is one of the largest reasons that people start taking CBD. When you build up the tolerance in your system, it's not like building up a drug. The tolerance that I'm referring to is when it targets all the cannabinoid receptors inside your body. So mammals naturally have these inside your body, and kind of think about something being plugged, a hole that's there being plugged naturally. And that's what CBD in general does. It balances you from the inside out. So that's why it's different for every single person in terms of dosages and how you feel. You cannot overdose on CBD. How I figured out that I did not need as much as what was recommended. So when I first started getting involved with this, I was like, well, how do I know how much I take? And everyone told me, okay, well, just get the 500, take 2 droppers, or I'm sorry, take 1 dropper, but do it twice a day. I did that, and I fell asleep like at my desk because I was so like relaxed, and I was tired, like it was too much for me. So what I started doing was I started with a half a dropper only at night, and I had to be consistent to see if it was really working, because part of me was like, okay, is this a gimmick? I don't really know. So I have an app that's on my phone, and it's also like, I wear a Fitbit right now for work, but there's an app that looks at your sleep. So what I did, because I needed some proof, I tracked my sleep for an entire month, and I would see what happened in terms of the cycles that I stayed in and how I felt the next day, and I would write this down. And then I could also go back through and I could see a pattern of sleep getting better and the cycles itself getting longer, and when you wake up in the nighttime, like I'll show a picture up here, but when you wake up in the nighttime and not being awake as often. The only brand that I mess with is GreenCompass, and that's the only one that I'm interested in. Pricing is another thing that I know deters people away from CBD because it's not cheap. You have to be consistent, because when you're not consistent with it, you're not getting the full property. So it's not cheap enough to just be like, oh, I'm feeling a little anxious, let me pop in a gummy. It's not that sort of thing. This is about building it up in your body to get the maximum benefit. And that also reminds me, I haven't talked about things like chronic pain and chronic inflammation. CBD is a great source for pain management. This specific line goes all the way up to 2,500 milligrams in strength, the CBD. I can't imagine me needing that for anything unless I got injured or I needed it for intense anxiety or really like something like rheumatoid arthritis or pain management. So I have heard stories and testimonials about people having rheumatoid arthritis, having chronic inflammation and pain inside their body, and using CBD along with other pain management ways to have a better quality of life. Like arthritis is another thing with knees and joints, and I personally have not experienced that, but I have heard stories of those who have. I've also personally tried a topical cream for when I was sore after working out. Like I overdid it kind of sort of after not working out for a while. My muscles hurt terrible, and it was spot treating by condensing the inflammation, and I thought that was really cool. I've also tried pain patches for menstrual cramps. Didn't do a whole lot for me, but that doesn't mean it wouldn't work for somebody else. So what I can only really speak on of what has been a game changer for me is the oil underneath my tongue for my sleep and my overall balance. I think that I answered all the questions that are on here. I'm gonna link some sources for you guys, and also, so I have the 2 bottles here. These are also available that I can send out, or I can give you the source to where you can find it. But in these little books, it gives you a lot of information about what CBD actually is, and it breaks it down in terms of the chemical properties of this being hemp and this marijuana, 2 different plants. Because I know that's one of the things that people ask the most of, oh my gosh, is it gonna get me high? No, it's absolutely not. Somebody else asked me, is this gonna make me hungry? No, it doesn't make you hungry. I've even found that I think that it helps not suppress my appetite, but it helps with cravings in terms of impulse control problems. That's another symptom of my ADHD is impulse control. Sometimes it's with food. It's not always with food, but sometimes it's just like having the urge to do something. And I found that this helps. And I know that sounds weird, but it's helped me. And then it also talks about this as a business opportunity, which I've never gotten into that. If that's something that you are interested in, message me, put me in the DM, or put something in the DMs. I can link a email address that you can find out more, but this is just some food for thought. CBD is expected to be a $22 billion industry in 2022. This specific company, GreenCompass, was projected to do $500,000 worth of sales in the first year, and they did $13 million. So this is a company to definitely watch, and not trying to be all like MLM scammy on you, but it is. And so I think that's a cool part too, if you want to get involved that way. From earth to farm, that's another thing. And I'm also going to link, there's a video from the farmers themselves. I think it's like a 6-minute video. I'm gonna link that below too. Watch it, see the people. I always like to know the people that I'm involved with if I'm doing anything sort of business-wise, because I like to have that connection, and also I like to trust. And then it's a full product catalog. There's also bath bombs. I'm not a bath bomb person. People also give this to their dogs. I mean, it's great. If you have any questions that I can't answer, I'll find somebody who can, and thank you. Thanks for coming to my CBD TED Talk.